Hello, everyone, and welcome to week three. Week three of this class consists of what you see here. Now, there are two assignments, and you'll notice that there is an exam. Now, I'm going to point to the assignments first before we get into what the exam is going to pertain. So, uh, each assignment is just like what it was in the previous chapter. You open this up. And the dates, of course, will vary from semester to semester, but you go to Sim Student, or I go to Sim Student. You would basically just load it up. And it works exactly like Chapter 1. Although you can't see everything on my screen, but there's numbers of how many tasks on each page there are. And you only really have to do the ones that have tasks. Some are just here's a pause and thing you can do on your own. Here's a summary. Here's some multiple choice questions and whatnot. None of those count for this task here. So you can kind of just not have to do those. You just have to do the tasks. Now, next. The guided project, again, is just like the previous guided project. If you did the Chapter 1 guided project, this is just an extension of that. Now, if you haven't done the previous week stuff, do that first. Definitely do that first. Don't jump and do Chapter 2 before you finish Chapter 1. It's set the same way. There's a start file. And of course, you can upload up to 50 times until you get it right. And then there's a grade portion that will give you the grade. You can actually go in here and check your previous attempts as well. And there's some notes on things you should do, things you should look out for. And of course, the ever famous instructions. Now, I will say this. If I remember correctly, you may not find the exact person that they're asking for. And if I recall, it doesn't care as long as there's a person there. So just pick, if you can't find Anthony, then find something similar. Something that will, still looks like a dude standing there or whatever. And it will be fine. It should not count it against you. If it does, well, I will fix whatever the grade is or whatever the issue is. There are some slight differences like that in pretty much most of the assignments. Usually it's exactly what you see here, but occasionally like this, this is a repository where they've uploaded different things you can use, and that changes over time. Maybe that was there when they first started this and set it up, and it does not seem to be there anymore. Or maybe it varies from version to version. But either way, if you can find exactly what they're looking for, put it down there. If you can't, just find something similar, and I don't believe it's going to care that much about that as long as there's something there. I think that's really the only major issue that people tend to have with this one. All right, with that leaves us to the exam. Now the exam, week 3, here we go. Now the exam, you'll have, I think I've set it for 3 attempts at each question. So if you do a question, and it says you're wrong, well, you have 2 more tries to try to get it right. And for the whole test, you get 2 attempts. So this is going to work very similar to kind of how these trainings are. You'll have a little window pop up that looks just like PowerPoint. It'll ask you to do this task. The only difference is it's not going to show you how to do that task. So preferably before you do that, make sure you've done the Chapter 1, Chapter 2 assignments. You'll take this, and I believe it's set for 90 minutes or thereabouts. It shouldn't take that long to do it, but it just depends on the person. You have that long reserved. Now, once you start that exam, make sure you have time to take it. Because if you start it and then walk off, I think the timer may still count down. So once you start it, it starts. If it crashes in the middle or whatever, you can go back into it, I believe, and pick up where you left off. It should still be counting. But just keep that in mind. Now, the due dates for everything. Typically, I set the due date for, well, the Sunday of this week. And that's going to be true for pretty much everything. Now, I will still typically take stuff after that. It just depends. Now, all the PowerPoint stuff is due, of course, Sunday this week. It'd be nice if you could do the exam as well, but I'm setting the final due date for the exam to be next week. So you actually have a little bit of extra time. So I know that, maybe somebody got behind, or maybe you didn't finish everything in Chapter 2 before you got to the exam. So I give a little bit of a buffer here. So this is posted here, but the final due date I'm going to take it is going to be the next week. So the next Sunday, whatever that happens to be at the end of the date. Of course, I have a date currently posted here, but that may change from semester to semester. So just check the date, and you'll see when it's due. Now, after that due date, I'm trying something a little different this semester. I'm going to set it so you still technically could turn it in for half the points. So if you just didn't take it before the due date for whatever reason, then you could still do it and get 50%. So if you got a perfect 100, you get a 50. That's better than 0. So that's the gist of this week's work. You've got a chapter kind of reading exercise, just like last time, a project, like last time, and then the actual exam for this class. And you can kind of do that anywhere. Now, there will be a sit-in exam. That'll be the final exam. That'll be the midterm exam. But these are just little exams you can do kind of from anywhere. Like I said before, make sure you've got time. Make sure you have gone through all the assignments and are ready to go. And you get 2 tries. So if the first time you go through it and it doesn't go so well, go back through the trainings and the walkthroughs and then attempt it again. And that is it for this week. If you have any questions, as usual, just go ahead and ask me.